In the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Razaka, brothers and sisters, this great feast of the entrance of our Lord and Savior into Jerusalem marks the high point of his life, of this week, really. From here, it takes a turn to going towards his passion. So the joy that we are experiencing for the resurrection of Lazarus yesterday and for his entrance, the Palm Sunday as we know it by, shall soon fade away. A little bit about this feast. Yesterday we celebrated the resurrection of Lazarus, the dead, 4 days in the tomb. This was Christ's close friend and a disciple of him. And he used Lazarus' death in order to show that he conquered death himself, that he has power over the living and the dead, and that he is truly the Son of God. This is what the raising of Lazarus was. A confirmation to us that he can raise people from the dead. And this is what we see in today's Troparion over and over again, that it confirms the universal resurrection, that all of us will be in the tombs, will be risen by Christ. Okay? He gained a lot of notoriety by doing this. We heard in the gospel today that those who heard or saw Lazarus raised from the dead started following Christ. And as he entered into Jerusalem, there is this big fury of energy that they thought that Christ was coming to take over and be king. They saw him as an earthly king coming to overthrow the lordship of Rome that was had over the Jews and in Jerusalem. And they had high hopes for him. They had high hopes to be a new king, like King David of old. But what has happened here? According to the prophecy, Christ, he sits on the colt of an ass. Not even an ass, not even a donkey, but it's baby. And he comes into the kingdom as the people cheer him on with their signs of victory. Signs of the victory over death that Christ had gotten for Lazarus. And they all expect him to go and overthrow and become king. And shortly they're going to be disappointed. This riding into Jerusalem in this manner that he did says that he's not an earthly king. He's a king that brings peace and love and joy. He's not here to overthrow any earthly kingship. He's the king of another land, another place, our heaven, our salvation. That's where he's king of. And this is who he came to do. He came to give his life and to open up the kingdom of heaven to all of us. This is his kingdom. It's not of this world. And so the people and all those faithful that cheered him on, wanting him to be their king, were sorely disappointed in him. They thought something different, that he would be bringing something different to them. And I say this, brothers and sisters, because we too in our lives, when we think of Christ and our God, we have an expectation of him. Somehow we have got an expectation of what he does for us, how he's supposed to look after us, what he's supposed to do in our lives to make us happy, to make us joyful, to give us some kind of pleasure in our lives. We expect sometimes our God to do that for us. And sadly, we're let down. Much like these people were, the Jews were that Sunday as he entered into Jerusalem. We don't understand they didn't understand who Christ truly was. And we sometimes forget who he truly is too. He did not come to be king on this earth, to make us happy, to please us, brothers and sisters. Of course he cares for us. He loves us more than we can love ourselves. He always wants the best for us. But ultimately he came to open up the kingdom of heaven for us. This is his kingdom. And this is where we want to reside. This is where our citizenship is going to be one day. If and only if we are pure. Only the pure get into the kingdom of heaven. And so, first and foremost, we must repent of our sins. We must repent of our sins. We have to go to confession. And we have to allow God not only to enter into Jerusalem triumphantly, but triumphantly into our heart. He has to pierce our heart, brothers and sisters, so that we can feel his grace in us, and so that we can be pure of those sins. And we can only do that by letting them into our heart, into our souls, and live our whole lives for him and him alone. Then we get into the kingdom of heaven, where he is truly king. And he has opened that up for us. This is what he will do. this Holy Friday when he dies on the cross. And 3 days later when he rises from the tomb. He shatters the gates of Hades so that everyone who dies will never be locked up in there. We will have a chance to be with him eternally and for salvation in heaven. So brothers and sisters, let us rejoice on this high point of Holy Week. This high point where our Lord is greeted as a king on this earth. But let us not forget that that's not what he came to be. He did not came to bring earthly happiness to us. He came to bring eternal joy and our salvation, brothers and sisters. Let us never confuse who our Lord is and what he does for us. In the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.